Hello everyone and welcome back to Lawfolds, Aberdeenshire. We are currently ploughing our first field and it's an incredible feeling to finally own a field. This one will be sown with grass, so we got some nearby food for the cows that we're gonna have in the future. It will take quite a while yet, but until we need it, we can mow and bale it and sell it for some money. We have courseplay running, as you can see on the top of the screen, and I'm riding with it. My intentions here is to, of course, plow the field. Then we're going to sow it, seed it with oilseed radish. We have one layer of fertilization here, so we will weed the oilseed radish and then we will cultivate it down, and then we will seed the field with the grass, and then we will be ready to go when the grass is grown. This is quite a good morning, and it says it should be sunny all day long, and we will take good use of that fine weather. You might be wondering if I know anything about farming, and the answer to that is some. I know some, but it's old knowledge. My grandparents had a farm. It was just a small farm with 14 hectares, divided let's see, um, 4 fields I think they had. Yes, 4 fields. And no, I never driven a tractor. I can't remember being on a tractor, as we weren't allowed to get near them. They were my grandfather's precious vehicles and no one should touch them. Now, my grandfather was born in 1898 and he was 62 years old when I was born. And he was a silent man, working hard, and the machinery I remember from my childhood and teenagers years, teens, is nothing like the machinery we have in Farming Simulator. Actually, so a new mod yesterday of an it's on the Giants mod hub, and it's a German old sewing machine. It's the kind of sewing machine my grandfather had. And the harvester was drawn by a tractor, but it didn't have a tank. It had two pipes where you put bags or sacks or whatever it's called on, and then you manually had to close them and move them over to our wagon. There was only room for two bags or sacks of seed or grain, I should say, on the platform where one worker stood. So you never could harvest all by yourself. You at least had to be two persons. And I remember all uncles and cousins and everyone coming home to the harvest. And I had a harvester going with my grandfather driving the tractor, and his neighbor stood on the balcony on the harvester. And then my two youngest uncles had another tractor and a wagon going besides, and they moved the grains from the harvester to the wagon. And then they carried those sacks or bags or whatever you could call them up on a grain loft. And it was a rather steep stair up to that grain loft. And it was an awful heavy work. And the rest of us was sitting in the grass having a picnic. Or at least that's how I remember it. My mother and I, and then my little brother, we went down to my grandparents almost every day. We had about 3 kilometers to walk, and that should be about 2 miles. So it wasn't any far distance to transport yourself by walking. And we were, as I said, we were there almost every day. And I was actually went down there most days until the day I left home. And then I was 17 and a half, and I moved into town as I got a job at the hospital. And it was too far to go, and there were no buses or anything, so I had to move to a flat or an apartment in town. And that was a really rough time, because being able to be in the countryside all the time, or living in that small village that I live, was quite different from living in town. So I often took the bike and rode into the countryside to feel and smell the farming. And after my grandfather had done the ploughing and he was cultivating, I remember I wasn't old when it started. Everyone that came home when my grandfather was cultivating had to go out in the field and help him pick up the stones that had come up from the ground. There were always new stones every year, and he had a wooden box on top of the cultivator. That's where we had to put it. So I started to work really early. And then of course we had to pick up eggs, pick berries, and things like that. So I'd done most things on a farm except driving a tractor. And we also helped with the animals. So I have done quite a lot of work with pigs, chickens, ducks, geese. And when my grandfather stopped having pigs with there was another farmer that borrowed the stables and had Shetland ponies there, and me and my cousin took care of those. So I have done my cleaning the stables work. I marked out the boxes where the horses were quite a few times, and it's heavy work. We didn't do that most of the time. He only wanted us to do it once a year, and that was in the spring. And then we had 40 centimeters or 50, 1.5 foot of manure going out, and I tell you that was heavy work. Nowadays you clean out the stables every day, at least most of the ones that have horses do that, and that's not as hard. It was quite heavy work. But I always lived close to the fields, and I love farming. And my dream, once upon a time, was to have a small farm being self-sufficient. But when I started to have problems with my joints, I was only 26. I nursed that dream for some years more, but then I have to write them off. It's still a dream, but I know it's not going to be realized. But living as I do now, I've lived in this house for, let's see, must be 32 years, and having fields close by. It's about 5 meters from my hedge in the garden, and then a little bit further away the farm itself is. So it's nearby, and we, of course, that is more than that field, but we've got one field right outside, so I can follow what's happening year around. And I must say, I was surprised the other weekend. I was traveling down to my brother, and he lives 30 kilometers away, and it was a sunny day and really nice weather, and 10 grades plus Celsius, and there were a lot of farmers out fertilizing, and I saw at least 6 tractors. 2 was a bit distant, so I couldn't see what it was, but we saw 2 John Deere and 2 Fendt tractors, and 3 of them had fertilizer spreaders, and that was Amazon. And it was not the big ones that we see here, it was the boxy ones that are lifted up. And I haven't seen an Amazon spreader in that small size that I can remember. Yeah, on Farming Simulator we can, I take up that, let's see, where do we have fertilizer spreaders? No, we don't. But it must have been of this size, or maybe that size, I don't know. Could be. But it was this type of fertilizer spreader, but this was an Amazon one. So I'm starting to recognize things farming related more than I've done before. I've always recognized them, but it's a bit different now. So that's a bit about me. So dogs, pigs, chickens is what I have. What's this? It's what I'm most used to when it comes to farming, as we weren't allowed near the tractors or the machines. And to one part it was security reasons. My grandfather was always thinking about security things. There was an accident when I was a child at one of the farms around the village I lived in, when a boy was riding the tractor with his father, and at that time there wasn't cabs. They were totally opened, and he was standing beside the steering wheel and fell over, and was well, his father drove over him with a tractor and he died. And after that, my grandfather was even more concerned about security, and we weren't allowed to go near most things, and there were knives on the harvester and things like that, and yeah. You keep away, kids. So, I guess that was one of the reasons we didn't get to do most things. And we were 12 cousins, and we were often there, and none of us were allowed to go near the machinery. And there were quite a lot of accidents in the farm work, and I suppose there still is, even if security is much higher today than it was 50 years ago. And well, yeah, that's how it is. Now, how far has we gone or come with the ploughing? We still have quite a bit to go. So I think we will take our Fendt tractor and go over to our sheep farm, and my friend can keep on the ploughing. We would take our Fendt, yeah, and let's head over to our sheep farm. And do we have a course set up for that? Transfer cows to sheep? Yes, we have. Um, First waypoint drive course, and I have to look out for that. I forget there are 3 types, like the last episode where I did a total wrong. So I get over there and we'll see how far the grass has grown. And we will pick up the eggs. It would be nice if we could have a break from doing missions, because we have worked really hard with those. And soon we have our pig farm up there, and soon hopefully we'll have this field as one of the fields. Some more around here. Most likely the fields you start with when you don't do as I did and make them buyable instead of owning them. And when we got at least 3 fields going, except for the field we're planting now with grass, then we might take up this big grass field as ours. And it looks like we will be able to mow this field. And we have to do it by hand. We can't put a worker to it. Or at least I don't think we can. I'm pretty sure we can't. So will this Fendt be able to drive. Let's see in the garage. This Fendt tractor, well, it's 200 horsepower, so it should be able to. Oh, idea. 147. Well, it will be okay. So let's see if we can. For the moment, this is our only way to make money on our own farm. And it will take a while yet before we can make any serious money. But we will do what we have to do to get by. And we still need a lot of money. I reckon we'll need at least 1.5 million. Unfold it. And we will get the GPS running. As I said, we will need 3 fields. We will need a combine, and we will need 2 headers, and we will need a sugar beet harvester, as we do need sugar beets or potatoes for the pigs, if we are going to have pigs, and I guess we are. We will need 1 tipper to begin with. And oops. Let's see, what do you need more? If I am going to have cows and pigs, we are going to need mixing stations to make it easier for my hands, and those are almost 200,000 apiece. We will need a forage wagon, and we will need what else? Well, I would think of something. Sometimes it seems there will be no end of what you need, and we sure will need 2 more tractors, I think. So I don't think 1.5 million we'll do it, but if we get to buy all the equipment, we will pick up these golden nuggets and we get them in there. Or we might use that million and another 200,000 and buy a windmill. Investments are good things. They will give you money on a daily basis. And I think a windmill will give you 75,000 a day. Or is it five? No. Is it 5,000 an hour? I don't remember right now. That's awful. I should remember. I've done it so many times. Well, we have to see what we do. It's nothing we have to decide here and now. You should always have a plan. And I know what I want to do, but doing it in a good order isn't always the easiest thing. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to make comments about them. Oh, it seems like a new game, maybe? It's rather annoying with that beeping, but on the other hand, they have to warn you somewhat of what's happening. I wonder if we would get any more bales this time, because in ordinary, when we sow grass fields on ordinary fields, I reckon cutting a field, mowing a field is counted for as one layer of fertilization. But I don't know how it's counted for in these types of fields. That it's a regular grass field. I have the slightest idea about that. Because you can't check on the map if there are any fertilization. As you can in the fields. harvesting and mowing is two jobs that I actually like to do. It's rather relaxing, I think. But I have to admit that ploughing with an European style plough is one of the worst jobs. Oh yeah, I don't like it at all. And I know I don't do a great job about it, even if I use the GPS. I don't do any nice headlines, especially not when doing missions. And the game mechanics really doesn't give you any approval for doing a nice and tidy job during missions. It's a bit like, do this as fast as you can and we correct what you've done wrong. A bit like that. For the field you see after the mission is done is not what you have done. So, well, it's not that you have to show yourself from the better perspective of it's do it. And I wouldn't plough a field like that if it was my own, or if you could see the end result on the field after the mission is done. So that's why I prefer, I think they are called chisel plugs or something like that. I'm not quite sure. It's the terminology isn't my strongest side. And as I don't have English as my native language and struggle a bit sometimes to find words, it might be forgiven that I don't know every term that is to know about farming. I will do my best. I always do my best. But it's not always the easiest thing. And the grammar in English and Swedish are two different things too. So sometimes I have the right words, but I put them in wrong order. So if there are any of you that are a language police, go ahead. I can take it. But there isn't much I can do about it. I'm actually quite proud of myself that I can handle English this well. I we was taught English in school, and it's 40 years ago that I had my last lesson, and since then I have read a lot of books, and that's about it. I I can understand almost everything, or I can understand it out of context, or because of the context. Uh, but it's a totally different thing to speak the language. So, but I'm learning. I'm learning every time I talk, and there are bits and pieces coming to me, and I can say a thing, and then I think, oh, Elowin, that was totally wrong. That's not how it's supposed to say it, or something like that. But never mind. It's good to for you English people or American people or English native English speaking people to reflect to. And I have heard people from both England, America, Australia doing the same mistakes that I do sometimes, and struggling to find words that actually I know what they are. So I pat myself on the shoulder and say, "You're okay, Elowin. It's okay." So what if you are speaking English? Oh, sorry about that. English like a 3-year-old. Doesn't really matter. So let's see if we can take us over the hill somewhere. Oh, the view is really pretty today. The sun shining. Will we make it? Will we crash into that thing? We crash into it. Ah, good, not good. Can you roll away? Yes, you can. Oh, what are you doing again? No, let's go like that. Oops. I'm going to let that fail out. Starting from 0. Again. And before we leave this episode or end this episode, let's go over and check out our plowing. And we are getting ahead pretty well. Fantastic. Our first field. And Valerie is doing a great job. She is so beautiful. The tractor, that is. I really do like it. I don't know what it's about Valfres that gives me the chill. I don't know. Well, until next time, have a good one and take care.